Hey designers, in this video, we'll be creating 3D camera movement in After Effects. Let's dive right in. First, we'll start by creating a new composition. Now, let's import the background. Head over to Import, choose File, and select the background image. Once it's imported, drag and drop it onto the timeline. The background image might be too large for the canvas. To fit it perfectly, press Alt plus Ctrl plus F on your keyboard. Now that's sorted. Next, let's import the other images we'll be working with. Import the files and drag them onto the timeline. Select each image, press S for scale, and scale them down to fit nicely. Once scaled, take your time to adjust their positions within the composition. Now that the positioning is looking good, let's turn these layers into 3D layers. Select all the layers, and check the 3D box for each one. After that, press P to bring up the position settings. Adjust the position of each image on the Z, X, and Y axes. Move the elements you want closer to the camera forward on the Z axis, and push the ones you want in the background further back. Now that we've adjusted the positions of the layers, select the background layer, go to Effects and Presets, and search for Camera Lens Blur. Apply this effect to the background layer. Once applied, increase the blur radius to give it a nice depth effect. Next, let's create a new camera layer. Click OK to confirm. Now, we'll create a new null object. Parent the camera layer to this null layer. We will use this null layer to animate everything else. Select the null layer, and press P for position. Click on the stopwatch next to the position to create a keyframe. Move the time indicator 20 frames forward. To move forward 10 frames quickly, press Ctrl plus Shift plus right arrow twice. Now, add a blank keyframe here. Return to the first frame. Make the null layer 3D first. Bring it closer by adjusting the Z position, and also tweak the Y position to your liking. Once you've adjusted the position, let's preview how it looks. OK. Press Shift plus R to bring up the rotation properties. Click the stopwatch next to Z rotation, and move the time indicator 20 frames forward. Add a blank keyframe here as well. Go back to the first frame and slightly change the Z rotation value. Select both position keyframes and press F9 to ease them. Now, open the graph editor and adjust the graph to smooth out the animation. Once you're happy with it, go back and select both Z rotation keyframes. Press F9 again to ease them. Then go to the graph editor to adjust the graph once more. Finally, you can move these keyframes a bit further apart to slow down the animation. If you play the animation, you might notice some black spaces appearing. To fix this, go to Effects and Presets and search for Motion Tile. Apply the Motion Tile effect to the background layer. Check the Mirror Edges option, and set both the output width and output height to around 200. Now, let's preview it. That looks perfect. Next, move the time indicator to the second frame and go 20 frames forward. Here, we want to focus on the Iron Man character, so adjust the camera's position accordingly. Tweak the X rotation as well to ensure Iron Man is centered in the frame. Make any necessary adjustments to the Z and Y rotations to fit him nicely. Once Iron Man is in view, move the time indicator 20 frames forward again. Now, adjust the camera to focus on Batman, bringing him into the frame. Again, adjust the X, Y, and Z rotations as needed. Now, move forward another 20 frames and bring Spider-Man into the frame, adjusting the X, Y, and Z rotations to fit him well. Lastly, move forward another 20 frames and have Thor appear on screen, adjusting the rotations accordingly. Once you've done that, preview the animation. Next, select the keyframes from the second frame, and press Ctrl+C to copy them. Move the time indicator to the sixth frame, then go 20 frames forward and paste the keyframes you just copied by pressing Ctrl+V. Now, select all of these keyframes except for the first one. Go to the graph editor and adjust the graph. Before adjusting, I feel the animation is a bit too slow. Hold down Alt on your keyboard and move the keyframes to speed it up a bit. Once you're back in the graph editor, adjust the graph as shown on the screen. After you've made the adjustments, preview the animation again. If you want to slow it down further, select the keyframes and hold Alt while dragging them slightly to the right. Now that we've adjusted the keyframes, let's add some text. Select the text tool and type, Iron Man. Make this text layer 3D as well. Press S for scale and adjust the size to fit your composition. Next, let's rotate the text slightly to give it some depth. After that, adjust its position and place it wherever you want it to appear in the scene. Now, press T for opacity and click on the stopwatch next to opacity to enable animation. Move the time indicator a few frames forward and add a blank keyframe here. Then, return to the first frame and set the opacity to 0%. Adjust the opacity keyframes until it fades in at the right moment for your animation. Now, let's apply a drop shadow to the text. Go to Effects and Presets, search for Drop Shadow, and apply it to the text layer. Increase the distance and softness to enhance the shadow effect. Let's preview the animation. It looks good. Next, move the time indicator to where Batman enters the frame. Duplicate the text layer by pressing Ctrl+D on the keyboard. Press U to reveal its opacity keyframes, and adjust the opacity so that it fades in just as Batman appears. Also, adjust the position of the text layer by moving its X position to ensure it comes into the frame nicely. Change the text from Iron Man to Captain America. Adjust the spacing between the letters as needed. Let's preview the animation again. It's looking good. Now, let's remove the tilted rotation from the Captain America text and adjust it to keep everything aligned. Now, move the time indicator to the point where Spider-Man enters the frame. Duplicate the text layer again by pressing Ctrl+D on your keyboard. Offset this duplicate text layer to match the moment Spider-Man appears. Make sure to adjust its position to fit well within the composition. Then, change the text from Captain America to Spider-Man. Adjust the position of the Spider-Man text and scale it down a bit. It doesn't look good on the side, so let's place it at the top. To do that, we need to move the Spider-Man text down slightly. We'll do this using the null object. Go to the keyframe where Spider-Man appears. At this keyframe, adjust the Y rotation. Now, move the text above the Spider-Man. Next, move the playhead to the point where Thor appears. First, duplicate the text layer by pressing Ctrl+D. Then offset this layer to match Thor's appearance, and don't forget to adjust the position. Use the text tool to change the text from Spider-Man to Thor. Scale the Thor layer up and adjust its position. Once everything is set, let's close all the options. Select all the layers and pre-compose them. Now, let's preview the animation to see how it looks. Go to Effects and Presets and search for Wiggle Position. Apply the Wiggle Position effect and set the wiggle speed to 2 and wiggle amount to 10. If you notice any black edges around the composition, we can fix that. Search for motion tile in the effects and presets. Apply it to the layer. Check the mirror edge option, and increase both the output width and output height to about 200. Now, let's preview the animation one last time. Your animation is now complete. If you found this video helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe to Ace Designs.